Okay, so I've had a few people in class ask me about how am I able to capture the moon on my camera like I've been able to do. And let me just kind of start off with why I'm shooting the moon in each sequence that I'm doing right now. It's primarily because it's a big deal in 8th grade on our Texas STAR exam to know the moon phases. And so I started it off as a project a little bit after I bought a new camera lens for my camera. And so I will be producing a video to follow up with this one probably in about another month because I've still got more shooting to do. But just to kind of let people know kind of how it's happening and kind of behind the scenes a little bit about what's going on, where I can get this moon shot right here behind me, which I actually took. And so what I want to do is kind of show you kind of what's involved in this. And so I'm going to start off today just to tell you a little bit about my Canon camera. This is a Canon DSLR, meaning that it's a digital single lens reflex, meaning that what I see through the lens, everything is going to occur the way I see it. And this particular lens is kind of pricey. It's an L series lens. It's put out by Canon, and the L, I've been told, stands for luxurious. And it really is a good lens, and if you see it right now, it looks like it's really long, when in reality this is just a hood to kind of cover up any kind of sunlight that might come into it. And so it's not really all that long. In fact, it's not all that much of a zoom. But what it is, it's a very high focus lens. So what's involved in this lens is actually setting up the camera correctly and being able to put it on a tripod and allow a little bit of innovation on what the digital side of this camera allows me to do, and then also editing it on my Mac. So what I'm going to do is kind of jump out of this for a minute. We're going to shoot some close-up of the camera, and I'll kind of explain to you how that goes about. Okay? Okay, so here I am with my camera set up on my tripod, and if you notice, I have nearly a full moon right behind me. It's actually in a waxing gibbous stage up until tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, on Friday, it's actually going to turn into a full moon. And it will be the second full moon occurring in this month. Now what's so special about that is usually we only get one full moon a month. One full moon a month is what normally happens in a 28-day cycle. And because we had our last full moon right at the very beginning of this month, and then we're having another one right here at the end, then we get two full moons. And what we call the second full moon when it happens in 1 month is a blue moon. Now a lot of people think a blue moon is actually blue. Well, as you can tell, it's definitely not blue, and it's not a full moon yet, but it doesn't mean it's going to turn blue tomorrow. But what it does mean is that it's going to be the second full moon in the month. And so it's actually the last day of the month. And in reality, we will not have another blue moon occur until 2015. And so it's the last one for the next couple of years or so. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and zoom up at the camera real quick. I'm going to show you a few settings, and then we're going to go ahead and take a few shots. Okay, when I look at the settings on my camera, you'll notice that I've got it set on the P setting. And what that does, it actually gives a priority to the shutter, which means it's going to go ahead and recognize what kind of sensitivity and light is going on. It's a manual setting, but it also allows me to have a little bit of flexibility with the ISO, which is our speed, as well as my depth of field. And so I typically just let it shoot on its own. It's great for nighttime shooting because I'm not relying on a flash. Now there's some other things we're going to look at here on the camera too that are going to be important for shooting a moon shot. When I look at my screen on this camera, you're going to see lots of things here. The P indicates that I have that priority shutter setting. The ISO, which is the speed of the film, is 400. 400 is a good setting if you don't want real grainy pictures. It's a good overall average setting. If you notice here though, I've got some unique settings going on. I've got a 2 timer going on, which means that once I press the shutter, it's going to count to 2 seconds, and then it's going to allow it to shoot. I also have this right here, and what this is when I click here on my camera, come back because it just went off. When I click here, this is spot metering. Now in most cases you're going to have evaluative metering. And evaluative metering, what that does, it kind of looks at the white balance and the overall contrast of the picture, and it does some imaging adjustments in the camera. And this is good for regular shooting if I'm shooting people or outdoor landscapes and things like that. But down here, spot metering says wherever I have the spot inside my lens, I want that to be the focal point, okay? And so I don't know if you can see in here, but when I click, you can kind of see through my eyepiece and see the moon right there. I want to make sure my center dot is right on the center of that moon. And what it's going to do is allow the moon to actually be crisp when it takes the picture. Now the question is, why do I have a 2-second delay? Well, in my display, or in my menu right here, I actually have a custom feature going on. And the custom function, and go back here, the custom function is that I want to have my mirror lockup to stop. Okay, so essentially what that is, if I were to disassemble my camera, and let me go ahead and do that, I'm going to take off my lens. So, just a second here. When I look inside my camera, you'll notice that it has a reflecting mirror. And what that is a way that I can view what I'm going to take a picture of before I take the picture. And that's what makes this an SLR camera. So I'm going to take a picture real quick with the lens off just to show you what's going to happen. When I press the button to take a picture, right here, it's going to wait 2 seconds and it's going to take the picture. So what that did was it actually held the mirror up, and then 2 seconds later it took the picture. Now, why is that important for this shot? The reason that is important is because any kind of shake of my camera, because I'm shooting the moon, which is, you know, hundreds of thousands of miles away from us, the further something gets from me, just a slight bit of vibration on my camera, the wind blowing, any of that kind of stuff is going to make the picture blur. And so just that little bit of shake by that mirror kind of popping up and allowing the picture to take is going to shake my camera slightly and cause my image to become blurred. So I'm going to go ahead and put my camera lens back on. Okay, now that you've seen kind of my setup on the camera, which is why a digital camera with a few extra settings is pretty important for shots like this. You know, most people aren't going to get out and take pictures of the moon. And then I'm going to go ahead and set it up. I'm going to aim. I'm going to make sure that that metering is right on the center. I'm going to let it autofocus. And I'm shooting in black and white also, I didn't mention that. I'm shooting in black and white just so I have good contrast between the night sky and the moon's surface. That's going to let me see the craters better and other details about the surface of the moon. Okay, I'm going to take 4 shots, okay? I always want to look into my eyepiece because just the slightest bit of movement here on my tripod is going to throw it off of the metering on the moon. And also the moon and us are actually traveling around each other, and so just a slight movement of the moon going around us at the same time that we're spinning in our orbit is going to cause it to kind of get out of that evaluated metering state. So what that's doing is holding the mirror up, waiting 2 seconds, then it takes the picture, then it drops the mirror back down. So just that movement of the mirror is going to cause the camera to shake slightly. It's going to cause my image to blur. And one more. Okay, now I mentioned earlier in the video that I don't have a real powerful zoom lens. It's a long lens. It's actually only a 70 to 200 millimeter zoom lens, which is not all that powerful of a zoom. I mean, it's good, but it's not great. So the images you see that I've been posting on Facebook that show really close-up moon pictures, I'm going to show you how we actually got that off of this camera by using some editing in the computer. So we're going to go to that right now. Okay, I just imported my pictures into iPhoto, and if you notice it brings it into a new event. I'm going to go ahead and name it Moon August 29th. And that's because I've been taking a series of moon shots. Now all of them practically are going to be the same because I set them all with the same setting, so I'm just going to grab one random one. Okay, if you notice, it's a nice clear shot, but it's not all that close up. As I said, the zoom is only goes up to 200 millimeters, so it's not that tight of a shot, but it is a very clear shot. So that's what's really important. So when I hit edit, it's going to bring up some new options. I can go ahead and zoom up here on screen with it. You notice it's got a lot of good detail. This window just allows me to get a little bit more in the area where I want. Now it's not completely crisp and it doesn't show all the detail that I want, and I could do some camera adjustments while I'm shooting, but my screen on my camera is kind of small, so I don't always get to see the detail I want to see, but I can make the adjustments here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit adjust, and I'm going to drop the exposure a little bit. So just going to bring it out to a little bit darker image. I'm going to raise the contrast to get more differences between my whites and darks. And I'm going to raise up the saturation just a tad. I'm going to avoid saturating the skin tones. I just click that. It's just a habit. I don't know that it really does anything here. My definition, I'm going to bring it out a little bit. That defines some of the corners. My highlights is when you really start seeing some adjustments happen. And so it's going to make some things start popping, some of the detail. It's probably a little too much. I'm going to drag that back a little bit. My shadows are going to do the same thing. You really start to see the detail come out of the moon. I'm going to add the sharpness here. That's going to get rid of a little bit of the fuzziness that we see in the craters. And then denoise basically keeps it from being so grainy or overly sharp. Kind of helps in a couple different ways. And now I've pretty much got the shot like I want. So I'm going to go ahead and crop this now by hitting my crop tool. It's taking a moment because my memory is kind of getting busy. So we'll kind of wait for that to quit spinning. Okay, now once I hit my crop, it takes it back out to the smaller image. I want to constrain the size, which means I still want it in the same setting. So I don't want to change anything there. Go ahead and make my box pretty small. Put it over the moon. And I don't want it to be too tight of a crop, so I want a little room around it. Kind of center that right there. And say apply. And right now it looks like it's about cropped. I'm going to say done. What it's going to do is bring it back out, and you can see my image is bigger now because it's cropped. When I double click it, now we see what the adjustments are. That's all there is. And now I'm just going to post this to my Facebook. I am keeping these shots to when I finally get the whole series complete. I'm going to actually create a YouTube video that has a sequence of all the shots that I've done for the entire sequences. Anyway, hope this helped you out. Continue to watch this, and I will give a follow-up on the ending of the video with my equipment, the lens type, and everything that I used.